You can't cost-cut your way to growth. With entire industries in the throes of disruption, this has never been more true than it is today. Grabbing the competitive edge means crashing comfort zones, pivoting fast, and investing at speed in a future of growth. Scraping out incremental savings from the core isn't enough anymore. Wrestling opportunity from disruption demands something entirely different. A new way to identify savings and reinvest for growth, profitability, sustainability, and trust. We call it the Zero-Based Mindset, or ZBX.
We look at it as an investment. If a company is consuming 10,000 calories a day and only needs 2,000 calories a day, the company's going to get fat, lazy, and out of shape.
ZBX is the next generation of zero-based budgeting, more holistic and more future-focused. It looks at every line item across the organization and sets it to a zero base, removing waste in order to shift capital to areas for growth, where people and resources can have their optimal impact. Zero basing creates a fundamentally different curve that naturally accounts for change, continually improving organizational agility from the front office to the supply chain. Because when you're moving at today's pace of change, where you're going matters more than where you've been. ZBX is not a one-and-done budgeting technique. It's cultural reinvention, sustained over time as a shared system of ownership and fiscal accountability, a way of thinking and doing that's hardwired into the whole organization.
In a savings culture, when you have an investment, you promise all sorts of savings, you get the funds to do the investment, and then you need to track the savings of your investment. In the ZBB technique, all the savings and the promises are firmly built into your budget. And so it's not a matter of explaining your savings, it's a matter of achieving the forecasted cost, the forecasted budget.
When leaders put their ZBX vision into action and engage people along the way so they have a real stake in the journey too, it becomes a lifeline for seizing opportunity from disruption. With a zero-based mindset, companies can finally stop chasing growth and start charging ahead of the competition. Driving forward while looking in the rearview mirror is dangerous business. So is driving future growth based on past performance. It doesn't account for the rapid pace or massive scale of change. With a zero-based mindset, ZBX, companies can break free from yesterday and double down on tomorrow by identifying and rebuilding the costs they should have to deliver their strategy, factoring in the impact of dynamic forces on cost curves, from technology advances to sustainability practices and market shifts.
You're actually forecasting and from a zero base defining where the means of the company need to go rather than where they were in the past with all its sacred cows. And that creates flexibility in changing to the direction that the company wants to go in for the future.
ZBX creates a fresh performance expectation, a new zero quartile that reflects how companies want and need to work, not how they used to work. ZBX applies across the entire P&L depending on a company's needs and focuses on 4 critical areas for cultivating resiliency and staying agile: spend, organization, front office, and supply chain. Instead of basing spend on what happened last year as a cost management approach, zero-based spend reimagines costs based on what's needed in the current environment, no matter how volatile. The result? Capital is freed up and organizations can redeploy resources in ways that have the most impact on fueling innovation and building sustainable growth. The most responsibility for growth, profitability, and trust resides squarely in the C-suite. But as companies cut front office costs in the hunt for profitable growth, the customer experience suffers and customers race off to the competition. Zero-based front office optimizes the front office using customer economics so companies can understand the real value of every customer and invest wisely in serving them. Failing to continually align employees with the areas that are driving growth and profitability for the company undermines a growth strategy. Zero-based organization empowers companies to start from a clean sheet by shifting talent from work that doesn't contribute to desired outcomes to positions where people's unique skills can fuel growth, job satisfaction, and cultural cohesion. Companies are stuck in a cycle of trying to eke out incremental supply chain savings that undermine morale and don't enable the big picture pivot when they could be radically transforming cost curves and creating new value for sustained growth. With zero-based supply chain, companies can drive down the cost of goods and services by identifying should costs and using a continuous cycle of review that resets and stretches performance targets. A zero-based mindset is the common denominator of these 4 zero-based approaches, each of which help organizations boost competitiveness when they need it more than ever. Every zero-based mindset ZBX journey looks different, depending on which parts of the P&L a company decides to apply it to, and how aggressive it is in stretching performance targets. ZBX is not an all-or-nothing proposition. The world's leading brewer, Anheuser-Busch InBev, knows this firsthand. The company has been using zero-based approaches for a decade. This is the story of their journey, one that continues today.
If you look at how most companies budget, what they'll do is it's a bottoms up. And so incrementally, by management team, people are budgeting. And so what they'll do is they think there's a negotiation, and they'll put what I call a layer of buffer in there. And as that builds up, as it gets to the top of the pyramid, when it gets presented to the budget, you might have 40, 50% too much in the budget. In AB InBev, we actually top down it. So we actually have already studied the key KPIs or increments into the budget. So could be the compliance to the travel policy, could be to understanding what the temperature is or heating and AC to a building. All these increments actually are little small amounts of money that we can conserve, then transfer that non-working money up into what I call working money, which is focused on our commercial side of the business. So from the top line down to the bottom line, every aspect of capital deployment, we look at using it in the right way.
Growth is increasingly elusive, but it doesn't have to be. With zero-based thinking, companies can capture sustainable growth. The rewards are worth the hard work. Big, bold, zero-based goals to fund a growth strategy that can stand up to disruption, no matter what comes next.